See how we got brighter?
It's not nearly bright enough.
That's right.
We on?
Yeah.
Here we go. Go ahead, Aram. You get us started here, buddy.
Okay, we are on PrepXtra Live. Week 10, the regular season is in the books. It's now time to talk about league championships, playoff spots, third place finishes, at-larges, teams that, just simply didn't make it, all of that stuff, Freddie. And why don't you kick us off? You were kind of
I've got some breaking news that I want to kind of get out of the way right now at the top of the show because it's a big story that's going to probably evolve over the weekend. We'll be following up with it on Saturday. But tonight, in the Rio Hondo League, there is a third-place game between South Pasadena and La Cañada. Both teams were 6-3 and 2-1 or 2-2 in the Rio Hondo League. It was a win-and-get-in game for the Mid-Valley Division playoffs. Now, South Pasadena won that game 21-3, but apparently right afterward, Nathan Cabridge, the reporter that was covering the game for us, he went down on the field, and apparently the La Cañada coach and athletic director let him know that earlier in the day, the league, the athletic directors that run the Rio Hondo League, they got together and they determined that South Pasadena would be eliminated from the playoffs, that they were eliminating them, and it was for unspecified reasons. We do know that South Pasadena coach Marty Conrad, he was suspended tonight for unspecified reasons. We do not know what happened. The La Cañada coach is quoted in this story saying that he was told about the ban after the game. He let his players know. So apparently during this whole game, the South Pass assistant coach who was coaching the game, he didn't know about it. The players didn't know about it. It was kind of afterward. They let everybody know. And what a big letdown for South Hills. And before we move on, South Pass. Before we move in, we'll talk about South Hills. Before we move on to this, Keith Lair, who was on the phone, he said he got tweeted. He is hearing that this could be South Pass allegedly was caught illegally taping a La Cañada practice or something to that effect. Again, don't know that for sure. That is what Keith Lair has heard. And
so wait a second. So the
pretty
players,
crazy.
So the players, what you're saying is, the players go out there, play this game tonight. They win the game. They think we just punched our ticket.
Right.
And they find out after the game, hey, the reason why good old Coach Conrad isn't here is because we did something wrong and we're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's really how it happened?
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Why would you not tell them ahead of time?
I don't know. That's the question that I have.
Do you agree that that's kind of stupid?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's not fair to the players.
Right.
And they're getting together during the middle of the day to discuss this. I mean, it's something that you should have just laid out right before. Hey, win or lose, this is what happens.
Oh, my God.
We'll find out more tomorrow. We'll follow it up. And, of course, by Sunday we'll know. But this is a story we're not going to let go away. But it's pretty bizarre ending to a Week 10 night.
There's always something. Okay, so let's get right into it, Freddie. The situation that you were monitoring all week in the Mission League with Bishop Amat, Crespi, Sarah, and, I guess a couple other teams as well, all had, playoff chances, I guess, coming into tonight. And the way it shakes out is...
It's pretty simple. It's
the way everyone thought it would.
Everybody, the teams that were tied for first tonight, Sarah, Bishop Amat, Crespi, they all won. They all did their job. It was a three-way tie for first. They actually did the coin flips last night and kind of kept it a secret. The news kind of broke.
I'm surprised you couldn't break that.
I was trying to. I was texting my sources. They didn't want to let it go tonight, and just before the game or maybe just a quarter in, the tweet started flowing. Steve Ramirez was one of the ones who tweeted it too. It shakes out. Crespi will go in as the number one, Bishop Amat number 2, and Sarah number 3. And if you believe Eric Sondheimer of the LA Times, he was just tweeting before he came on the show that the 2 at-large berths will go to Santa Margarita and Servite from the Trinity League. He is saying they will get both, meaning that Alamany at 7-3 and 4th place in the Mission, he's saying they won't get in.
Wow, that's tough to accept. because I think
you got a 4-6.
Yeah,
you got a 4-6 team. And the one thing I was looking about earlier this week, and I know the way they do strength of schedule is they look at your opponent's overall record, but what they don't really factor is quality wins. That's the one thing I think that they don't. If you look at Alamany's schedule, and they have more quality wins than Servite has. I mean, Servite, I think, what I'm looking at, their only quality win over a Pac-5 team is Orange Lutheran, who finished last. Their non-league games, they didn't beat a Pac-5 team, whereas Alamany beat a few Pac-5 teams in the Mission League and had a pretty impressive non-league.
Yeah.
So
it's too bad they don't have a computer to kind of figure out what your opponent's records are. To see. I mean, just because your opponent is 7-3, that doesn't mean they're a good football team. Yeah. I mean, they could have an easy schedule.
Yeah. And Aram's not feeling great tonight, so we're going to move on. Other big news tonight. Bonita and Claremont. Bonita was in a win and get-in game against Claremont to finish third in the Palomares.
They actually led this game against Claremont.
They were leading this game. Right? Claremont came all the way back in the end. Claremont needed to win just to get to the three-way coin flip situation. Now, Ayala blew out Diamond Bar.
Right.
So what happened?
Did they flip after the game, or did they
I'm
already
going
know?
to explain that to you. Right. I'm going to explain that to you, Aaron, because I was going back and forth to Podley. He was letting me know what was going on with the coin flip situation.
Podley's been involved in a few of these.
Yeah, they went to a nearby restaurant afterward. Where did they go? I'll have to look on here. Right. No, it was a pretty cool restaurant where they went. But anyway, they went to a nearby restaurant after the game. After Claremont beat them 28-21 in overtime, and Claremont won the coin flip, they get the automatic berth in the Palomares.
Don't you think that's fair?
No.
Yeah. I mean, Claremont won the game tonight. I mean, you would hate to be like Claremont, win the game, then lose the flip.
Well, that's happened before. I think that's happened in front of you before. It happened to Bonita. But here's the thing. That flip, they flip for third, fourth, and fifth. Bonita finishes fourth, meaning that they'll get that consideration over Ayala for one of those two at-large berths, which is pretty big because there's a pretty good chance, I'm thinking, that at-large berth is going to come from the Palomares. Maybe there's one at-large berth. I'm sorry, from the Palomares League. There's just one, and it's either probably going to come from the Hacienda or the Palomares.
That's in the Central Division.
In the Central Division,
playoffs. Obviously, we'll find out.
So Bonita's hoping it gets it, and I think the other team hoping that they get it is Diamond Ranch. So we'll wait.
We'll have to stack them up, Fred, using the formula.
Did Bonita play Diamond Ranch this year in
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I haven't looked at the tiebreakers there. No. I don't know what they are. I'm not even going to try to figure it out right now.
Yeah, we can do that later. It's public.
But Bonita, they win and get in, and for Claremont, what a way to do it. You rally, you win, and then you win a three-way coin flip. That's clutch.
Right. Let's wrap up some other things. We had a league championship tonight in the Suburban League. La Mirada wins 35-21 over Norwalk. That game was 28-0 at halftime. La Mirada goes in as the number one out of that league. Norwalk will be the number two. I'm not sure about who's the number three. They're all chasing St. Francis, which won last night. That will be your number one seed on Sunday when the pairings for the Southeast come out. They finished the regular season 10-0. Another Southeast Division team or game tonight. Muir beats Pasadena 24-17.
Boy, that was close.
That was my first turkey tussle.
How'd you like it?
It was a lot of fun. It's very nice being at the Rose Bowl to cover a game there.
It's cold down there in the field, isn't it?
I was surprised.
It's always cold down there.
Parking was great. Admission was great. Access was great. Unbelievable. The fans, the early start cost them a little bit of early attendance, but in the end, it was packed.
I was hoping you were going to do the second rendition.
I shouldn't say packed.
I was hoping you were going to do the second rendition of the Freddie Dance. That's where the Freddie Dance was
created.
Right,
and I keep trying to find it on the internet. It's gone off of YouTube for good. But anyways, here's the situation, Fred. We go back to the tie, I believe, in 1998. So this actual win streak, is 19, at 16. Yeah. 16 because they had the tie in 99.
Oh, win streak. The unbeaten streak is 19, right?
Yeah, right. So it's careful wording, especially when you're me and you're writing.
One win since 1982. That's when Stevie was in high school.
A lot of the losses.
No. I was out of high school.
I was in high school. Okay, anyways.
You were in high school.
Yeah, I was a sophomore.
A lot of these games though have not been close, but tonight's was with Pasadena actually tying the game in the fourth quarter, making it 17-all, but then Muir drives after that happens. They go on just under 6 minutes drive down the length of the field, get a 5-yard touchdown run from a freshman running back, Jonathan Stevens. He was filling in for an injured starter. And there you have it. Mir wins 24-17. They ring the bell. They'll go in as the number 2 team out of the Pacific League, with Crescenta Valley going in as the number 1 in the Southeast. I mean, we all can't wait to see how that division shakes out or what the pairings are. I think a lot of people.
Southeast and Central is going to be a lot of fun when they get going. Would you come in here and tell us what's going on here, Keith? Keith Lair is going to update us on La Cañada. He's been working the phones. Why don't you just kind of sneak in here, Keith? I think we'll be able to
take just real quick because I got to.
Okay, really quick. What have you learned? We've kind of updated everyone on the situation. What's happening?
Well, all I know so far, and I've had 2 people told me that the South Pasadena coaches secretly videotaped La Cañada practice. Nobody's called me back yet, so I can't confirm that or anything. But that's what's allegedly being said in one of the daily sister papers, the LA Daily News. One of their reporters said that too. So
okay.
So I mean, that's all I know. I can't confirm it or anything.
We'll definitely have to follow up on the weekend, and that's what's incredible about that, Keith, is what we heard is that none of the players really knew what was going on during the game. They kind of sprung it on
Marty
after.
Conrad was not there. He had a meeting apparently with school officials.
Do we know why he was suspended today?
Well, I think that's why, but I don't know. But it's all speculation.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure we have this right. Nobody, as far as players, knew these circumstances before they played the game.
As far as I know, no.
So in the fourth quarter of this game, where La Cañada's down 21-3, they're thinking we're done for the year. We just lost.
Yeah, because according to the story, the La Cañada coach sprung it on him after we told him that you're in.
I talked to Ramsey Lambert about an hour ago, and he said that he didn't even know.
Really?
He said
the athletic director told him right after.
He said a school official went up to him and said that South Pasadena has to essentially not forfeit the game, but can't go to the playoffs because they broke an unspecified rule, and he didn't know what he said. He doesn't even know what it is, and if I remember right, his exact quote was, "It needs to be worked out." Wow. So I don't. That's all I know.
But my question now, though, about South Pasadena is: did the South Pasadena assistant coaches, athletic director, all of them know?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, because what I'm saying is if they did know, and these players played this game and were winning, 21-3 in the fourth quarter, it's pretty cruel to them to have them go in these circumstances and think they're just punching their ticket to the playoffs. Yeah. And now that's not happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty cruel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Keith's got to get back on the desk. He's got to get a paper out. Thanks, Keith.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Wow. What's crazy about that, Aram, is I think that
it doesn't sound like it was handled very well.
You're absolutely right, and it's one of those situations where maybe La Cañada is hoping that they win the game and they never have to bring it up, and it's something they can address in the off season. If that was their thinking, that's a horrible way to handle it.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
Yeah. Because if South Pasadena players, that's not fair to them. They're playing a game thinking they're in. That's a crushing way to let them know that you're not going to make the playoffs. If you made this decision before the game, you've got to let both coaches know. You've got to let these players know, and then let them play the game.
Right.
I think it's totally
because
wrong.
The other way
if these are the circumstances as we know them, if this is what they were, then shame on the real.
Then you have South Pasadena players thinking that they just finished third and won, got themselves in the playoffs. And they're not thinking this at the final buzzer, Fred.
Yeah.
They're thinking this in the second quarter when it's a close game.
And I would like to know what those league bylaws are too, Aram. I want to know where it says that whatever rule they broke, that you are banned from the postseason.
That's a nightmare.
Because I don't like it when a bunch of athletic directors get along and you don't know what alliances some have, whether some vote 4-2 in favor, and just to get a team out of the playoffs. I don't like that. Yeah. I hope this is a rule that is completely spelled out in their bylaws, and this isn't some arbitrary decision they've come up with the afternoon of a game, the afternoon of a game to eliminate a team. That would be wrong. There better be a specified rule that says if you do this, you're banned.
And there's got to be proof that this actually happened. I mean.
Or an admission.
Yeah. There's got. I mean, this is amazing.
Here's the thing, though, and you're watching PrepXtra Live. The post-game show regular season is in the books. Brought to you by St. Paul. Thank you for watching, everybody. We're talking about South Pasadena beating La Cañada tonight, 21-3. But here's the problem. Because of an infraction, they are forced to, after the game, forfeit the win, and La Cañada will go to the playoffs. This game was for third place in the Rio Hondo League. Here's my final question to you about this, Freddie.
Yeah.
Let's say little Freddie Jr. is playing for South Pasadena, and he just got his heartstrings tugged on and pulled and all this stuff. How are you as a parent or these South Pasadena parents feeling
if I'm
right
a South Pass parent, I'm a pretty rich guy, and I'm lawyering up with everybody else, and we're going to fight this over the weekend until something happens.
So obviously you're very angry, and I really couldn't blame you. Okay.
I got a message. It says, "Hi, Fred. This is Jim Johnson here. I'm with San Gabriel Valley football officials, and we're wondering what the South Pasadena coach did to get the suspension." Again, everybody's wondering. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's something I think we're going to sort out over the weekend. This is a pretty incredible story.
Right.
That we'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Also recapping, Bishop Amat goes to Notre Dame without its starting quarterback tonight, but that's no problem. Ryder Ruiz.
Give Ryder a lot of credit, man. I watched that game on live stream, and Steve was obviously there. He didn't make any. I think he made one. There was one interception in the third quarter, but otherwise he was sharp and he managed that game great.
He completed his first 7 passes. I think 13 of his first 14. Finished with 398 yards. Had 269 at the half.
I was shocked how much they used him. I really expected them to go to Sweet a lot. I was even tweeting that I was kind of surprised at a lot of the game calling because you're putting a backup guy in there in such a big game and you're really putting the game on his shoulders. But he delivered. And I thought it was cool to see Rio Ruiz chip in and talk about how proud he was of his brother tonight on Twitter. That was kind of nice. And now Bishop Amat being number 2, they're going to wait on Sunday. There's a 50-50 chance they get a home game in the first round. It's one of those deals.
And I think the big thing for them is if there's a way they can avoid the top 4 seeds in the second round would be,
wait
kind of big for them.
I'm just getting this tweet here from you, Fred. Guessing you won't hear Aram Tolegian saying anytime soon that Bishop Amat doesn't belong in the Pac-5.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? I don't understand.
It means exactly what it means, that after tonight and where they are, that the argument that started this whole, this argument started right before they went in their 5-game winning streak and closed this whole thing out.
Right.
Maybe you spearheaded the 5-game winning streak. Right. I don't know. You're still on the play card.
So
over
the argument is settled?
Yes.
Because of what?
Yeah. The argument
Why
is
the argument
they deserve to be. Because if you don't think they deserve to be in the Pac-5 right now, you don't watch enough football. That's why.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're basing this because they finished in a 3-way tie for league title.
We're basing it on they finished in a 3-way tie for league title in what is considered, and just use the computer rankings because they're impartial, the second toughest league in the state, one of the top 10 leagues in the country. I think when you tie for a league title in the second toughest league in California, you deserve to be in that division's playoffs.
So it's not about playoff
without
wins.
Argument.
It's not about playoff.
It's about
wins.
being in the divisional playoffs is what the argument was about.
Wait, so just making the playoffs proves they belong.
No. That they deserve to be in the Pac-5. You said Pac-5.
Right.
You didn't even say the playoffs. You said they don't belong in the Pac-5.
Right.
That's not even debatable anymore.
Right. I'm basing that on their lack of playoff wins over the last however many years.
Are you still trying to make that argument?
No, so I'm trying to hear, are you saying that tonight, which was not a playoff win?
I'm saying tonight undoubtedly shows that they deserve to be in the Pac-5, at least right now.
Okay. All right. So
by that,
the determination is winning the league. Okay, it's not about playoff wins, is what I'm hearing. So if they go out in the first round next week,
you're talking about being in the Pac-5.
Pac-5. They didn't win the Pac-5 tonight.
Getting in the playoffs.
So
getting in the playoffs means you're one of the 16 best in the Pac-5.
No, what it means is you're one of the top 3 teams in your league.
No, it means you're one of the 16 best.
What it means is you're one of the top 3 teams in your league. That's what it means. It does not mean you're one of the 16 best. It means you're one of the top 3 teams because that's all you need to do to get in. Okay.
Are they one of the 16 best, Aram?
They're one of the top 10 teams in Southern California this year. But my point is the program, and until they get these playoff wins, my point is, and it remains this way until they get the playoff wins, Fred, that's the determiner, is that they don't belong in the Pac-5.
You're such a fool.
No, and I'll tell you why, and here's the perfect example.
Oh.
up until this year, Fred sat here and agreed that Charter Oak didn't belong in the Inland Division. Now, this is a Charter Oak team that made the playoffs every year in the Inland Division, and they even won playoff games, Fred, in the first round, but they were bounced in the second round, and you agreed they did not belong in that division. Now, what's the difference between them not belonging in the Inland Division and Bishop Amat belonging in the Pac-5?
I said Charter Oak couldn't win a championship in the Inland Division. I never said that they couldn't compete in the Inland Division or they didn't. That I didn't think that they belonged. I didn't think that they belonged. It wasn't me. It wasn't me saying that I didn't think that they can compete.
What's the difference?
What do you mean? What's the difference?
I want to know what's the difference.
Well, we were talking about a championship. I mean, we were talking about Charter Oak. Can they win a championship?
So you're saying Bishop Amat can win a championship? This is a team that has won.
No. I never said Charter Oak couldn't compete or they didn't deserve to be in the Inland. It wasn't about being deserving to be in there.
I believe you said they didn't belong in the Inland Division.
I don't think any of those teams, because of their demographics and everything else, deserve to be in that division. I think they should have been in another one. Yes. Bishop Amat is a completely different story. That's a completely different story.
Because Charter Oak actually won first-round playoff games while they were in the Inland Division, and then we all saw them hit their ceiling.
I didn't
and
say
they couldn't go any further.
My whole thing was I said they would never win a championship.
What's the difference between that and Bishop Amat? Like Bishop, I can tell you right now, it's that Bishop Amat doesn't even have the playoff wins in their division that Charter Oak did in theirs.
It's apples and oranges, Aram. It's completely different.
I
never said that Charter Oak didn't deserve to be in the Inland Division. The way you were saying Bishop Amat
deserve.
The way you were saying Bishop Amat needs relief out of the Pac-5. It was never the same thing.
You said many times that Charter Oak needed relief
out
of the Inland Division.
I thought South Hills needed relief out of the Inland Division. Charter Oak was a team I thought that could compete but not win it all. And I thought that they shouldn't be in it because, quite frankly, I think that the league that they're in, the demographics that they have, that they're more suited for a division that they're in right now.
And I think Bishop Amat is more suited for something else.
See, I disagree with you. You don't think that they're suited for that division. I completely disagree with you.
Well, it's the same way I felt about Charter Oak.
It's not.
I looked at Charter Oak and I sat there and said they could not win a championship in this division. I'm not even sure they could get to the semis, and they didn't. But they did win first-round playoff games, which is more than you could say for Bishop Amat in the Pac-5. And now I'm saying the same thing. I don't think Bishop Amat can win the Pac-5. I'm not even sure they can make the semis. I mean, so why do they belong in the division?
Well,
because they can make the playoffs?
Well, Aram, then you're saying that all teams that don't make the semis don't deserve to be in that division. I mean, I don't think you get that point. But what you're saying is
you don't have a realistic chance of winning a championship.
How many teams do you think
you shouldn't be in that division?
How many
you don't have a realistic chance of winning a championship.
Great. How many teams have a realistic chance of winning a championship in that division?
In the Pac-5?
Yes.
3, 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
so does that mean those are the only 3 or 4 teams that should be in the Pac-5 and everyone else should be in a different division?
I think if it's the same 3 or 4 teams.
What are you saying?
No, if it's the same 3 or 4 teams every year who are the only ones who have a chance, then those other teams, maybe they should be moved down. Is what.
And
that's
what
happened
to Charter Oak and South Hills.
They moved up to Division 2. Lower division teams that won Division 2 state titles like Chaminade, and they finished second
you see,
last.
Freddie, teams cycle in and they cycle out. That's what should be happening with Amat. I don't know why they get to stay there. And maybe this year they
because they want to stay there.
They want to stay there.
Yeah.
And Fred wants them to stay there. So it's not based on success.
I want them to stay there because I think it's good for the Valley. It's good football, and I think that they deserve to. I think they can play. They can play with any of those teams. Are they ready to win a championship? I don't know, and I'm not ready to count them out yet. I think that they can play with any of these teams. I really do.
Well, I would agree with you this year. If there's going to be a year that changes,
I think next year is going to be the year. Well, there's the best year, but I think they've got a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Well, this Trey Sidney, Tyler Vaughn's, Sweet class. Damian Garcia class, or Luis class, you got to say now. I agree. That is the class that could change that, and I've been saying that for a couple years. But until they actually do that, the argument's not settled, and if anything, nothing's proven yet. Yes, it's great. They won their league, and they'll go in as a number 2. Would have been better if they were a number 1 because you get an easier draw. But as a number 2, we're guessing as to. Hold on. We got more update, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you come on in?
What is
here?
this?
Oh, okay.
Is this a statement?
That's a statement from the principal.
Okay,
Oh, here
here's
we
the
go.
statement.
Can you read it?
This is from the principal of South Pasadena High School. Dear Tiger football families, first of all, we would like to thank you for your unwavering support this season. What a remarkable season it has been, with tonight's game a beautiful jewel in the season's crown. It is with very heavy hearts that we share with you what your sons have already likely shared. After their bus ride back from La Cañada, their coaches and the two of us met with the team. We acknowledged and celebrated their accomplishments and their joy. That made it all the harder to share with them that rather than continue into the CIF playoffs as a third-place team, their season has come to an end. Oof.
They told him after the game, on the bus ride home.
After the bus ride, it looks
Wow.
like. Yesterday, we became aware that our school is accused of a violation of CIF regulations. We are continuing our investigation into the allegation. La Cañada played tonight's game under protest. Had they won, the protest likely would have been moot. With us winning the game, the Rio Hondo League leadership determined that South Pasadena High School would forfeit the game and La Cañada would take the third place spot. Tonight we told the players that they did things correctly. The violations are not tied to their behavior.
Wow.
We also shared that since it is an ongoing investigation, there are details we will not be sharing at this time. Due to the time-sensitive nature of the playoff seeding, we do not expect there to be a change in this ruling. We are sending you information as quickly and as thoroughly as we can tonight, however brief it necessarily is. Please help our players process this disappointment by highlighting the many stellar points experienced throughout this season. We thank you for your understanding and continued support. Sincerely, Janet Anderson, Principal, Greg Luna, Athletic Director. So, pretty heartbreaking if you're a South Pasadena. You played this game under false pretenses.
I'll tell you why I don't like it.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
You played this game under false
knew about
pretenses. South Pasadena played this game under false pretenses.
That's absolutely.
The league got together and determined this is what would happen if La Cañada won. This is what would happen if South Pass won.
Well, they'd already determined no matter if South Pass wins, they're not getting in. They don't want to tell the players. And you know what? I hate these punishments because they have nothing to do with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, you suspended the South Pasadena coach tonight, Conrad. Obviously, he's probably at the heart of this, or their coaching staff. Why do the players have to be punished? Why do the players have to miss a playoff game next week? Why can't you ban the coaching staff from the rest of the playoffs? Why can't you, ban some administrators if they're a part of that? Why do you have to ban the kids who, in that letter, had absolutely nothing to do with any of this, who won the game on the field without a coaching staff who may or may not contributed to whatever they allegedly did? Why punish the players? Why is that the decision? It's one of those things.
Yeah, right. Why couldn't they get rid of the coach and let an assistant coach them in the playoffs?
And say the coach and say that this coach can't go on to the playoffs. I'm sure the South Pass principal could have banned their coach from the postseason for whatever he allegedly did. But I think to do it this way, to let players play,
terrible,
and to let them feel that emotion of winning. They had I forget the story.
Man, it's
they hadn't been to the playoffs in about 10 years.
Yeah, it's
this
cruel.
school. This has been a long time, and you let them go through all of this, the warm-ups, the game, beating La Cañada, which is a real natural rival between these two schools, and then you're going to tell them on the bus ride home, oh, by the way, you're not going to make it because some of your coaches made a mistake. Because some of your coaches did something that violated a rule.
Yeah, I don't know what.
This is not putting kids first.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
And I understand rules are rules. I understand rules are rules, but you could suspend coaches without suspending kids. That's I don't think parents and coaches, they sometimes realize these seniors, these players, they never get these moments back.
That's true.
This coach is going to go on and coach next year. He's going to coach the year after that.
Yeah.
But these players never get these moments back.
Right.
And that's not right. And you better think about that when you make decisions like this that are going to affect them forever. It's horrible.
And this is not like baseball or some other sport where you still might play it in your adult life. I mean, a lot of these kids, they're never going to put on a football uniform again.
No. What a way to go out. And this is a mistake that coaches made. allegedly,
Looks like AD.
and I want to continue to say allegedly because we don't know exactly what it is, but obviously South Pasadena is copying to this penalty of
and
whatever
it
they
looks like
did.
they're saying there's not enough time with the playoff pairings being Sunday, and no one's really probably working Saturday anywhere. There's not enough time to kind of process this or do an investigation. And what I'm saying is, if this happened in week 6, you probably get a different outcome. But they're saying we got to fall on the sword here because we got to submit. I think you have to submit to CIF. When tomorrow or Sunday morning?
Tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow. Who your 3 teams are?
But why couldn't they? I don't know. Have La Cañada 3A and South Pass 3B, and then if it's decided by Monday,
that ain't gonna happen because
I
they
know.
gotta exchange film and know who you're playing on Sunday. And boy, this was
CIF. You want to do the right thing, get this team. What happens if they earn an at-large berth? Can they? I guess they can't even apply now. Did they make them? See, this says that they had to forfeit the game. Does this mean they can't apply for an at-large berth?
Of course they can. Of course they can. But
well, if a 4 and 6 team could get in the playoff, they should be able to at least apply.
This is a joke. The way it's turned out, the way they handled it is a complete joke.
Yeah, the part I don't like is, if you knew this before the game, just let the kids know.
Yeah,
right.
That's the fair thing to do. Man up.
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible news one way or the other. It's much more difficult to deal with when you have to tell them after they won.
Right.
So if you're willing to do that, then tell them before the game and get it over with.
As a principal or as an administrator,
so let them know that they're playing for pride.
For South Pass, are you standing there watching the game tonight, being like, "Oh my God, we scored again"? I don't want to tell these kids.
Yeah, how do you look at them, South Pass administrators, watching them celebrate and feel like they won it all, knowing you're going to tell them on the bus?
Kids, calm down. We're going to talk on the bus. Don't celebrate. It's absolutely cruel. They played the game under false pretenses. The players did. It'll be interesting to see really who knew, who didn't, what the deal was. But that is looking like our top story.
And I'm going to guess this story isn't over. Again, this is South Pasadena.
Right,
there's a lot of deep pockets over there.
Right.
Don't think that this is over yet.
I was just going to say, if you think the parents of the players are going to take this lying down, that's not going to happen. You're going to see wheels move on a Saturday that never move on a Saturday, and that ought to be pretty interesting. So, like Rob Wygod, you might get a knock at your own residential door tomorrow. You might get 3 Mercedes in the driveway with attorneys wanting to talk to you. So.
And kudos to Keith Lair out there on the phones chasing this down. He actually on deadline got us a letter from the principal that they wrote out. That's
obviously there's people that are feeding the story now because they're realizing the injustice of what's going on. Just to recap, South Pasadena beat La Cañada tonight in the third place game for the Rio Honda League final playoff spot for third place. They win 21-3. They are informed after the game, the players are, that, hey, your head coach who wasn't here tonight, he
violated
did something
an
wrong.
unspecified rule.
Which we're hearing through 2 sources was illegally filmed La Cañada practice.
Yeah.
And
league administrators got together.
Basically, we're forfeiting this win that you guys just produced, and we're not going to the playoffs. La Cañada, which lost the game, will be going to the playoffs as the number 3 team.
Do we know if La Cañada knew and told their players?
Supposedly, what Keith was saying, Ramsey Lambert, the head coach
they kept it all.
Yeah, did not know.
My guess is they wanted to suspend the coach, and they were hoping La Cañada wins, and then nobody has to tell anybody anything.
Yeah. You're right. And I guess, boy, if they read the Star News in my write-up, they probably thought that was a good chance, but South Pass proved me wrong. Anyways, this is very important for some of you out there because we don't know who the Central Division number 1 is, but that's probably who La Cañada or South Pass will be playing. It was Glendora. Maybe it's Monrovia, but they won't play a team from their own league, so I don't know, Colony, Kaiser, Charter Oak even.
I wonder how La Cañada players are feeling about all this.
Yeah, it's probably bittersweet, but, they get to keep playing. The other big news, Bishop Amat wins tonight on the road at Notre Dame, runs the win streak to 5. We were previously arguing again about whether they belong in the Pac-5, and we're going to find out
Can they get a playoff seed now?
Oh, what, a top 4 seed?
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind, dude?
They were 6 going in, not as number 2. They were number 6 going in. They're ahead of Crespi in the
not even
CIF.
I know, but
they're tied for first.
They can't be seated above Crespi.
Yeah. Okay, how about Thursday night? We have to talk about South Hills beating Glendora and what happened with Matt Fink.
Yeah.
The quarterback of Glendora goes out within the first quarter. We still don't know how bad that injury is. Aram heard a tibula. I heard a high ankle sprain, whatever
tibula.
it was.
What's a tibula? A fibula.
It's a fibula.
It's a combination between a tibia
fibula,
and a fibula.
Tibula. I'm all ibulate out.
Right. But we just know that's a leg.
It's a leg injury.
Knee to ankle.
He was on crutches. He was hobbling around. Look, I don't
barely
want to. It's a weird thing to talk about because I don't want to take anything away from what South Hills had accomplished.
No.
For them to win this championship, look at this though. Those 4 games that they lost and the way they lost them. Someone else pointed this out too, and it's true. They won this league title without having a real home stadium this year, with everybody against them. 3 of those games were on the road. The other ones they had to play at Walnut High School.
Okay.
These are players that were just taking a beating at school for the way they were playing, and they come back and win the league title.
Right.
And yes, the stars had to completely align.
Okay. Now,
in the Palomares.
Do you want me to play devil's advocate to what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, like Fred said, they didn't have their home field.
Nice
they had all these things. Now, the devil's advocate argument to that is they got to play basically every team the week after that team had played Glendora, nice and softened up. And then they got to play Glendora, and they're down in that game 10-0 when Fink goes out of the game. Not only does Fink leave, Noah Holmes is already out of the game. Montano, their leading rusher, leaves the game in the second quarter. If you're going to sit here and tell me, that South Hills wins this game with Matt Fink playing and Montano playing, I'm going to tell you you're full of crap. It's just not going to happen. So, they got breaks. And a lot of teams do get breaks and don't do anything with them. They got breaks and did what you're supposed to do with them and converted them. Congratulations to them. They had a great turnaround. They had a great season. I'm not so sure I'm a fan of all this, hey, if we'd have listened to you guys stuff and, giving Fred, hard handshakes and pats on the back saying, thanks for picking against us. I got to hear from you coaches before the game. If you're so confident you're going to beat Glendora, or if you're so confident that Matt Fink is going to snap one off in the middle of the game, then tell us this before the game and we can adjust our picks. If you know these things are going to happen. But if you don't, you telling me after the clock reads zeros doesn't do anybody any good. Okay? So if you want to come out and pick and say that we're idiots for picking Glendora, do it. We'll put it in the paper. We'll quote you as saying anyone who picks against us doesn't know what they're doing.
They actually, their ASB put out a video on YouTube today where the beginning of it is in all black, and they're saying Fred Robledo's prediction, and they have it all in bold, and they have me talking in the 2-minute drill, talking about how they're going to. Remember I was talking about Llewellyn and how you're going to win today. Hey, but it's one of those things where still in that game South Hills is down 10-0 or 13-0 at halftime. Is that what it was? 13-0?
It was 10-0 and then 13-0 in the second half.
Yeah. I mean they're league champs. Do I think they win that game if Matt Fink is completely healthy? No. I mean I watched Matt Fink that game against Bonita. Where I've never seen a player in a while really just manhandle a team the way
they almost didn't win the game without Fink. With Glendora running the same play over and over again.
I saw him that game against Los Altos where Fink. I've just seen too much of him to think that he's not worth 1 point in a game like that or a touchdown, and not to mention their running backs. But it's still injuries are injuries, and I realize they're part of the game. And look, South Hills won the league title. And 10 years from now, 2 years from now, that's all anyone's going to remember.
That's true.
Is that they won the league championship.
It wasn't probable.
And it was an incredible.
And good for them for not quitting.
Yeah.
Because they had
reasons. It was a game. And they had to go through that Glendora defense. They won the game. Yeah. They're going to go in as. Do I think they have a shot to win a CIF title? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if they're that good yet. I don't think they're explosive enough yet on offense, but their defense is pretty good. The whole question for me in this division is Matt Fink going to be healthy? Because next week they're going to get a second-place team, and that could be a pretty difficult opponent. A lot more difficult had they won league and were able to maybe rest him a week. But you think of ankle sprains, Aram, those are sometimes easily 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Sometimes
Especially
longer.
if they're talking
Yeah.
about a high ankle sprain. Those are
Yeah,
even worse.
yeah, the high ankle.
Because he
is-
wasn't
yeah.
grabbing his lower ankle. There wasn't icy on the
No.
game on his lower. I didn't see anything blown
He
up.
stayed in the game.
He was near his shin area, near that area
Yeah, he
where he
stayed in the
completely
game.
was rubbing.
Um,
And I'm sure that they're not going to tell us anything.
I
They're
heard
not going
from
to give us a
Glendora
report.
sources
Did you?
it's not good. That was the specific quote. It's
Yeah.
not good. If it was an ankle injury, then there'd be optimism that they could round him back into shape. And you worry about the kids. He had just picked up an offer from Washington earlier that day.
Yeah.
Had the offer from Boise. He's a junior.
He's someone that you can't
He
take
still
a
has a
chance on.
season.
You can't let him go out
Right.
and get.
Still has next year. He's got college offers coming. You hope he heals up, and that's it. And this throws that division into disarray.
Yeah.
I think that
Who's the
makes
favorite now? Charter Oak?
Monrovia?
Monrovia?
Yeah.
I don't think Monrovia is
If-
going to win
If
it.
I could believe Charter Oak could string together 4 good games, and maybe they're getting to that point where they can.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, Freddie, it's not just 4 good games they're going to need to string. It's really 6 because of the last 2 that they had to win.
Yeah.
Beating West, I think West Covina
I think the
has a very
Hacienda
good
teams
chance.
are going to be dangerous. I think
West
West
Covina has a very
Covina is
good
going to be
chance.
dangerous.
Los Altos.
Los Altos is going to be dangerous. And who's our other one that got in?
Charter Oak.
Charter Oak. I think those teams are all going to be dangerous. I think they all get to the second round. Well, I mean, you have to see the pairings, obviously.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them get to
San
second round.
Marino, I don't know where they fit in. I think they
Yeah.
can move the ball. I think Monrovia, if they play how they did against St. Francis, no one's
Yeah.
beating them. That's if Fink
But
isn't
if you're
around.
but if you're South Hills, you've got us right where you want us, thinking that
Right.
you're
Well,
not going to go very deep. And I would love to see it happen. You know what? Their student section's pretty darn incredible. Do you see some of the stuff that they do out
Yeah,
there?
it's good.
The smoke, where they storm the field. I mean,
yeah, it
they
was
have one of the
excellent.
better ones, and they've hung with them because I was there in that game when they're down 49-0, where they were chanting, "I believe that we will win. I believe that." I mean,
Yeah,
they stayed with their team and deserve credit for that.
Well, this Central Division, as far as the seedings and the actual brackets on Sunday is one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most because I have no clue who's going to get what and go where. I'm pretty sure Monrovia will be the number 1 now, but after that, these matchups ought to really be intriguing from the word go. And we'll see what happens.
And follow us on Twitter Sunday. You know, the pairings are, I believe, from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
They'll be releasing pairings. We'll be posting it on our
We'll
blog.
have a show.
We'll be tweeting it out. Yeah, and we'll have our show a little later. What do you want to give it a time, Aram? Should we tell people?
Yeah, like 2 o'clock.
How about 3 o'clock after we're done writing all
How
of our
about 2
stories?
o'clock,
How
Fred?
about 3 o'clock? We'll keep you around here. We'll let you know between 2 and 3 o'clock. Aaron, the big fella, he always wants to go. He probably wants to watch a college football game.
No, it's
or just
NFL
get out of here
Sunday?
really quick.
Sunday.
It's NFL.
College football, I said. Oh, Sunday. It's
Yeah,
Sunday.
right.
My days are just confused.
Right.
That's Rams, baby.
My financial
My LA
future
Rams.
fluctuates with every NFL Sunday.
Yeah. Great night.
Yeah. So
Rio
anyways,
Hondo League, shame on you.
Yeah, pretty disappointing there. Anyways, get on the blogs, argue, discuss, congratulate, hate, whatever it will be, and we will see you back on Sunday. I'm sure Fred's going to be really active on Twitter, getting out where everybody went or what they drew on Sunday.
6'6" instead of 5'6", that'd be dangerous.
Coaches, your phones will be blowing up on Sunday. We'll be calling
if
you.
you're 5 foot, you could be a jockey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Probably.
And then,
So
we'll be
Tully
back
was
with a
next
show
on
on Sunday afternoon to talk about the draws and who got something nice and who didn't. So anyways, this has been
Playoff
PrepXtra
time, baby.
Brought to you by St. Paul High School. The regular season is in the books. Congratulations to everyone that's moving on. And better luck next time if there is one for those that didn't. Bye-bye.